My current setup, what is it that I'm doing here? Because this might look slightly weird to folks who are not kind of used to it. I have a server running which is somewhere in my LAN. So what I'm trying to do is I've done a SSH into that server, and then I've gone ahead and done a X11, it's called. So X11, basically what it means is that I am logged in into the browser of my server. So this is not the local machine is a laptop. The server is this. So this is the server browser, which is Chrome over here, that I'm logged into. So when I do things right now, it might seem slightly unnatural from what how my videos were looking earlier. But I think that's okay. We can survive with that. So I'll go ahead and display most of the functionality because I've gone live with this application. And anybody who has a decent internet connection, anything which is a Wi-Fi, dedicated Wi-Fi, should be able to connect and will get much better results than what you will see right now, because this way of connection, wherein I am sharing the browser from a remote machine, or rather I'm displaying a browser from a remote machine on my system, is not necessarily something which is ideal. So it will not be very fast, so to say. uh, but you should be able to understand what's happening. So when you see this obviously is not my Mac's uh, file window. This is the file window of my Linux server. So my Linux server is window I'm getting to see over here, which is okay. So basically I'm logged into my server. uh, in case you were to do this using my application, you would not log into my server, but you would log into your own desktop. So you would have to keep some files ready on your desktop, like a CSV file ready on your desktop, to go ahead and maybe test the application. So let me see how this works. And it might look that it's extremely slow, and the page is refreshing and all these things, but because it's just because of the setup is that way. Fine. So now what I want to look at is I want to look at this CSV file. I want to see what all is there and get a basic data table view. So now, if a person has never used any of the BI tools, and not used any of and maybe never used a Tableau or a QLake or whatever it is, then for that person to even understand as to what is happening is quite difficult. So while I would want you to just follow along, what is basically happening right now is that CSV file is getting uploaded into a SQL database, and that SQL database could be MySQL or Postgres, and that is going to show up over here. And this is basically a HTML JavaScript page, so it will show up in the HTML JavaScript page. And let me now not wait for this to update and all that, and just go ahead and look at some of the data sets that I already have in there. So this data set I have, even though it's not a very large data set, it's got say how many records does this have. Let me display. Let's say I want to view all 100 records. I can scroll down, and yes, I see there are 48 records only, which is okay. I click on any of the columns. The moment the column is clicked on, you hear a very feeble sound, but that feeble sound is actually coming out of the speakers of my server, which is in another room. It is not in the same room also where I am. So you end up hearing that sound. Many which way. So once you will use this, what you will get to see is you have selected. which is a good thing because sometimes you might end up selecting the wrong column and you want some kind of action on that, which is not correct. So that is one critical thing. And let's say I want to see the summary statistics for this particular data set that I have. So I get to see that. So these are my summary stats, uh, which are the column names. So there is category, there is variable 1, variable 2. So all this is shown to be. Then what is the max? What is the minimum value? Because this is categories are non-numeric, and that therefore we will not get any max value or any minimum value over here. My variable 1 has got a max value of 11.56. My variable 1 has a minimum value of 2.5. So that is being shown, so which is okay. I can just knock off this summary statistics and get back to my data set. So what you get to see over here is that my data set remains on that same page. It does not change the page, wherein I can also see my summary stats, and then my data set is still there for whatever other actions that I want to do on my data set. So there are certain actions that I want to do on the columns of my data set. I want to search something and I want to replace it. So you again hear that feeble voice, and that feeble voice is saying that I have chosen to search and replace certain records within my columns of the data set that I have. Now what I have to consider is that this particular data set right now is being shown to me from my SQL database. So this is already in my database. So whatever changes I make to it, I can choose to either update it, save it, or I can just reject those changes, which is absolutely okay. So depending on what I want to do. Now I want to see my results in a new column. I do not want my results to be shown in the same column. I do not want to replace, let's say, this category A over here. Yes, and there again goes that feeble voice coming from my server speakers. Any which ways. So I want to replace this cat underscore A and I want to make it a mouse. So wherever it says cat underscore A, it will give me a mouse. That also new column corresponding to it. So let's see if that happens. So results in new column, and what I want over here is I want text contains the substring, and I will replace it with underscore underscore. Okay, so there is so if I were to look at it over here, this shows me that I've clicked on a certain column and something has happened.